I guess what I'm known for is definitely my advocacy of women and specifically female founders or female founded startups. So that would be one area where I really focus a lot of time. And I also wrote a book on esports and gaming and how that sector is relevant to all of us. But I did realize quite early on that maybe my world was really parochial and that I needed to go out of that. And so I did baby steps. I moved from Vancouver to Toronto. And then eventually I was like, I think I want to move overseas. And so that's kind of what, that trajectory is what made me, it gave me the opportunities to be who I am. Whether it's a male or female entrepreneur, and I think lots of investors would say the same thing, right? It is really important, the founder of the business, because that's ultimately, if you're talking about investing, who you're going to invest in. And then, of course, it's their business, their go-to-market strategy. Is that attainable? Is it realistic? And there is also, the numbers are very important, right? There needs to be numbers that make sense. And perhaps if they're talking about a specific addressable market, is that achievable? Can you see scale? Because ultimately, again, especially at the stage that I typically invest in, which is the seed round, the angel round, it's important to see long-term trajectory and growth. So it's definitely the personality of the founder. Can you see them executing on their plan, right? It's one thing to like the individual, but not everyone can see through that entrepreneurial journey.
If the idea is amazing, really amazing, but the results or numbers which you have just mentioned is not that great at the initial years. So what is your take on that?
Okay, where is the company at now? Is there a minimum viable product? Is there any revenue at all? And it doesn't even have to be revenue. Maybe there's MOUs that have been signed or some sort of agreement that shows that there will be, that there's a validation. Let's just say the company, the business idea has been validated. But then there's also the spreadsheet that you've been given, right? Or that I've been given. That obviously is long-term growth. So I think you're saying, what if that spreadsheet isn't looking 100% positive or maybe doesn't show as big a scale as typical investors would want? It depends on the investor.
But this is a wonderful advice which you have given, and I'm sure, especially for the female founders, to carve your niche in the market and to show your
100%.
presence.
Okay, I love that.
Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of HerTalks, a podcast by Women First Jobs. Thank you so much for showing all the love and support to our content and the females, those who are coming and sharing their stories. I'm sure we all can find something relevant, something great from their experience and learn and grow together. Today we have someone really special with us. She has n number of accolades, experiences, and amazing things to share with us. So let's all welcome today Miss Lucy.
Thank you so much, Priyanka. I'm really happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Pleasure to have you here with us. And I think there are a lot of people, those who are following you on LinkedIn, reading your posts, sharing and learning, n number of things every day.
Thank you so much. That's really nice. I like to share what I'm learning. So if other people are getting value, that makes me happy.
Would you like to introduce yourself to our audience one more time, please?
Yeah, sure. So I have to laugh because I wear multiple hats, and actually a McKinsey consultant taught me that I should just say I have a portfolio career because they like to spin everything, right? So they're like, okay, just say that. But I guess what I'm known for is definitely my advocacy of women and specifically female founders or female founded startups. So that would be one hat and one area where I really focus a lot of time. And I also wrote a book on esports and gaming and how that sector is relevant to all of us. So I also spend time talking about that industry and how it's tied to the future of work and how it's pervasive in our society.
That's wonderful. And pleasure to know more about you. Okay, so before the titles and the boardrooms, there was a young woman with lot of dreams, I would say. So who was that version of you and what did she want from life?
Okay, so it's very interesting. We are a product of our upbringing, and so I was born and raised in Vancouver to immigrant parents, and my world was very small, and I actually say to people, because if you're able to get out and meet people at a very young age,
Right.
and I'm talking like even middle school, it's really, really important, or else you have no idea what are the possibilities out there. So I would say, to answer your question, I would say that I think as a young girl, I don't think I had huge aspirational dreams. I always say, for instance, for Vancouver is not a banking capital, for instance. So if you had asked me back then, what did finance mean to me, even as a really young woman, I would have probably said like a bank manager. It didn't even occur to me that there was investment banking. It just was not there. So I don't know that my dreams were that big, but I did realize quite early on that maybe my world was really parochial, and that I needed to go out of that. And so I did baby steps. I moved from Vancouver to Toronto, and then eventually I was like, I think I want to move overseas. And so that's kind of what that trajectory is what made me, it gave me the opportunities to be who I am today. So I always tell young people, if they can, they definitely should try living in another country, try working in another country.
And this is a wonderful advice.
Yes, I mean, and there's tax reasons for it too, obviously. And again, that was not ever in my thoughts. It just was not the way I was brought up. But there are definitely positive reasons of not only learning from other cultures and perhaps learning another language, but if you look at low taxed bases to live and work in, then that also helps you with your financial accumulation going forward. So it's pragmatic too. I'm Asian at the end of the day, so yes. So let's be pragmatic about it too. Yeah.
So Lucy, you meet n number of entrepreneurs every day, and I want to understand from you, like, what's that it factor which you generally see in an entrepreneur, which make that person stand out of the crowd, or which help that person to grow as compared to the other people, those who are not able to make big.
Yeah, I whether it's a male or female entrepreneur, and I think lots of investors would say the same thing, right? It is really important, the founder of the business, because that's ultimately, if you're talking about investing, who you're going to invest in. And then of course it's their business, their go-to-market strategy. Is that attainable? Is it realistic? And there is also the numbers are very important, right? There needs to be numbers that make sense, and perhaps if they're talking about a specific addressable market, is that achievable? Can you see scale? Because ultimately, again, especially at the stage that I typically invest in, which is the seed round, the angel round, it's important to see long-term trajectory and growth. So it's definitely the personality of the founder. Can you see them executing on their plan, right? It's one thing to like the individual, but not everyone can see through that entrepreneurial journey. It's a really tough one. And I often say, if possible, that they should actually have a co-founder so that you can weather that journey together. It's really lonely being a solo founder.
And tough as well.
Yes. Yeah, true.
Okay, I mean, like, coming to back to your advice which you have given, like, if the idea is amazing,
Yes.
really amazing, but the results or numbers which you have just mentioned is not that great
Sure.
at the initial years.
Sure.
So what is your take on that?
I mean, so there are definitely times, and again, this would be the time if the numbers aren't great, that you typically, as a founder, you would initially, because the numbers are never great at the beginning, right? But okay, so it's one thing to let's go back a bit. It's one thing to say, okay, where is the company at now? Okay, is there a minimum viable product? Is there any revenue at all? And it doesn't even have to be revenue. Maybe there's MOUs that have been signed, or some sort of agreement that shows that there will be, that there's a validation. Let's just say the company, the business idea has been validated. But then there's also the spreadsheet that you've been given, right, or that I've been given. That obviously is long-term growth. So I think you're saying, what if that spreadsheet isn't looking 100% positive, or maybe doesn't show as big a scale as typical investors would want? It depends on the investor, because sometimes you will take a chance on someone knowing that perhaps they've underestimated their numbers, right? But more often than not, if they've given you sort of lukewarm figures, or the return on investment doesn't look great, then it's also a warning sign that maybe that's the truth. Maybe that even if the idea is as good as you're saying, then it should be, after we're going to have to rely on our experience as investors. If we've seen so many founders, so many ideas, then we should be able to parse out the ones that the ones where the spreadsheet doesn't align with the potential of the idea. I hope I'm making sense. Okay, so if the idea is that unique, I should be able to determine, right? Okay, there's the spreadsheet's off, or maybe they just, they didn't spend enough time on it, which they should. But there's a lot of guessing in those initial spreadsheets. Yeah.
So being a founder of an HR tech platform, I want to know this thing.
Yes.
So you have been a part of various panels.
Yes.
So many investor summits, forums, and other things are there.
Yeah.
So when a woman walk in to pitch her idea, what instantly grabs your attention? And what is there which you think that this is a red flag?
Okay. And again, I'm going to say this is a bit of a dodge on my part of that question. I don't think that I view either. I don't think that there's a difference in how I view the founder, regardless of whether they're male or female. What grabs me again is the passion and the confidence they have in their idea. And that obviously comes out in the pitch process. That comes out in how they talk about their founder journey. That comes out in how they talk about their aspirations for the company, what they've done to get to where they are. I'm trying not to use the word hustle, because there is a bit of a backlash against the hustle culture, right? We were talking about mental health right before this.
Right.
So hustle does not always mean it's a good thing for founders. But I think when you've seen enough pitches, you have a sense of, again, going back to your first question, whether this founder can execute on what they're telling you, that they can execute on the business plan. Okay? And red flags are typically if you are providing, perhaps you're providing some feedback, and you can tell that it's not being taken. And so that means typically to an investor that perhaps this founder is not coachable. That's a red flag. If they're not coachable or they're not open to, because sometimes you have to pivot, and then the idea to pivot might come from talking to a lot of investors. It might be trying things out in the market and it not succeeding. But founders have to be humble enough to also be open to coaching.
And for the new ideas.
Yes, yes, and be flexible enough to know perhaps when they might need to pivot. Yeah.
This is a great advice. Most of the time, I think founders miss with that thin line.
Perhaps I think again it's such a fine line because you have it's your baby, you focus on this forever, and then someone is telling you, oh no, it should not be a B2B
Right.
product, it should be a B2C.
Right.
It's jarring, but please take it as seasoned advice. Take it that the person in front of you wants you to succeed, and not to be defensive. Yeah, it's a reaction.
This is
It's a reaction.
Absolutely. I
Yes.
think I have seen this saying, observed this saying. I mean, this is normal as well. Being a founder, and for so many founders, when they raise an idea, when they
Yes.
raise a business, for them it's like their own baby.
Yes, absolutely.
It's like their baby for themselves. They put their hearts, sweat, blood, sweat,
Listen,
everything. And
Priyanka, I got to tell you, and I think a lot of investors will tell you the same thing. It is an absolute privilege to be on the other side, right? We're not the entrepreneurs, right? We're not the ones coming up with the ideas, and it's a real privilege to be able to actualize the dreams of entrepreneurs. It's pretty amazing. Yeah.
wonderful. Okay, so gender equity is buzzword, is the buzzword these days, I
Sure.
would say. But how can investors and organizations in MENA can make it a real strategic advantage, not just a checkbox exercise?
Sure. No, that's a fabulous question, and I'm assuming you're asking me as an investor, and in terms of how can we move the dial
Right.
to get more funding to female
Absolutely.
founders. And so I spend a lot of time saying the same thing. I don't know if anyone's listening to me out there. I always say whether you're an individual investor or a family office, a VC, equity fund, that a portion of your allocation should go to female founders or mixed founding teams. Okay, so maybe for whatever reason you don't want it to go, but I don't care if it's 1%. I mean, everyone's different with how
Right.
much is how large their portfolio is. I'm just saying whatever that percentage, allocate a percentage so that it's intentional. So it's intentional, and to look at if. All the stats are out there, and I think we'll talk about it later on. It makes financial sense to invest in mixed founding teams or female founders.
I want to ask something related to in similar line of this statement actually. Do you really, or do the investors really believe that women-led startups can scale as fast as man-led startups? Or do we sometimes say the right things just to sound progressive?
Okay. So I'm gonna. I love that question. So, scaling, we do not. Female-founded startups don't scale as fast as male-founded startups, but what we do well is two things. We get a higher ROI for the investors. So it's a fact. Female founders give a better return. I think it's 63%,
Which is a
more,
good number.
which is fantastic as an investor. And then efficient use of capital. We are also really good at using the investor's capital, which also means I think the number's like 73. You get a better return of like 73, not return, sorry, use of capital like 73 cents to $1. Okay, so these two things, women founders do better than male founders. That's a fact. On the scaling, I love that question. We do not scale as fast, unfortunately, because we typically get less funding at the seed stage, and so we're catching up all the time.
Right.
So unfortunately, I would love that to be happening, but the scaling, no, not happening. Yeah, and it goes back to lack of funding.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to ask something personal actually. So you have been awarded as one of the influential women in Arab. So what that award or accolade means to you, and
Yeah.
what does real influence is all about you in your mind?
Maybe I'll start with your second question. I guess I feel real influence is if I could come, if someone says, okay, Lucy Chow is trustworthy, whatever she says is authentic, and I value her as an individual. I guess it all comes down to trust, right? If there's someone that's saying, okay, Lucy Chow, I hope then they think trust. That would be my personal goal. That is who I am. I am grateful for the platforms I've been given, the recognitions I've been given. That always still surprises me to this day when things like that happen, and so I don't take it for granted that I've been fortunate to be given these platforms, and then therefore I would like, and I do use, I hope, these platforms to uplift others, or to focus on those causes or the focus areas that really matter to me, because not everyone's been given those platforms. And so I often say to female founders, for instance, they should be going on podcasts. They need to be seen. They need to get their story out. And also it helps if someone's heard about, Lucy Chow, and she's got ABC Company. Because then I go and pitch, and someone's heard me on a podcast talk about ABC Company.
Right.
So you understand the power of media, but even just having heard a name of a company before you see it on a pitch deck, there's a subconscious already a subconscious sort of positive influence there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you mean to say that the social presence is very important for the founders?
I think it is now today. I whether you are for social media or against social media, it is part of our lives.
But it should be present.
It is, and then you decide what you're most comfortable with, right? If you just like to do podcasts, great. If you just like to write, and you don't want to appear on anything visual, then just use LinkedIn as an example, or do thought leadership pieces. Be a guest columnist, right? If you just want to write, you don't have to always be in front of a camera if that is not your area of comfort. But do something.
Right.
Yeah.
This is a wonderful advice.
Well, you're doing it. This is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this is a wonderful advice which you have given, and I'm sure, especially for the female founders, to carve your niche in the market and to show your
100%.
presence. It's
okay. I love that. Yes, carve your niche, and you can. We just talked also about the technology now being so accessible that there's no friction. Almost no friction point in starting a podcast now. Almost none.
right.
And so, try different things, or it could just be TikTok videos, right? Why not? Yeah.
So, do women need to lead like men, or should we, or to be taken seriously, or is it just a narrative which needs to be died?
Women do not need to lead like men, but I think we feel sometimes we need to. Okay, and why is that? The dynamics in a corporate, as you know, there's a lot of male energy in corporations. I think we're getting better. Again, going back to mental health, we're getting better. But typically, it's more aggressive but anyways, I don't feel women need to lead like men, not at all, because especially in the age of AI, what is the most important skill? The most important skill is going to be empathy and creativity, actually two. And I think naturally women have an abundance of empathy. And so if we look at the future of work, it's telling us that we cannot rely on the old male sort of styles of leadership. So no, women do not need to lead like men.
And the point which you just mentioned about the empathy,
Yeah.
I think this is the major point which makes women keep them aside or apart from men.
Sure.
So in the leadership skills and other things.
Because it's thought of as a soft skill, right? And in the past, as you know, we would dismiss the soft skills.
Right.
Now we know corporations are solely focusing on soft skills, right? Whether it's conversation, communication, authenticity, emotional intelligence, all of these are in the spotlight.
Right.
And what's heartening is that these skills, empathy, can be learned. That's got to be like the best news for every corporation, right? If we already know that's the skill that you need to really drum home to your employees, it just needs to you need to make sure you as leaders that you exhibit those traits, that you lead with those traits, but that it's embedded in your organization. Through its policies, it has to permeate the entire organization. So that is why there's a lot of work for consultants in terms of changing corporate mindsets and pretty well kind of upending some of the way corporations have been running.
So your book, Changing the Game, explores how digital innovation, especially gaming, will shape the future of work.
Yes.
What inspired you to connect gaming with leadership and innovation?
Yeah, so I was so a few things was happening all at the same time, like a perfect storm. I have a very good friend that was building an esports company, and so we would have coffee every month, and he would tell me about his company and update me, and I was learning a lot about the industry. At the same time, my son would have been like maybe 10, 11. And like every parent, I was like, oh, I wonder if he's gaming too much. And then, of course, because we're in the UAE, there was access to a lot of conferences about this topic. So it was at one of these conferences, and all these global leaders and academics and corporate CEOs were coming in talking about how pervasive esports and gaming were, what was going on in the industry, how it's already so embedded in their lives. So, and I was like, oh my gosh, everyone should hear all about what's going on in this industry and how it applies to them.
Right.
Someone should write a book. And then I thought, oh, maybe that someone can be me.
Yeah.
So that is why the book is very much almost like a conference where there's 38 individuals around the world that I tapped from 5 continents, different backgrounds, different sectors. And so you get a chance to see, you read their chapter, right? So I didn't write they're the subject matter experts. So they wrote the chapter. So you read their chapter, and it could be anything from women in esports to investing in gaming to games in education. And then you read their bios. And then you're like, wow, there's such a diverse background of people in this industry. There's even a place for me. And I guarantee you, whatever your background, you can find a spot for yourself if you wanted to enter that profession or that sector. But also, from a business point of view, you're a brand holder. Why should I be advertising in games? Or you're a CEO. Why should I look at embedding gamification in my company?
Right.
anyway, so it's more a business book, but I'm really pleased by how much it's inspired people and how it's opened their mind to the power of using games.
That's wonderful. So when you were answering this question, I mean, like something else was still there in my mind related to the empathy which we discussed.
Okay. Yes.
See, most of the time when women founders, they lead by empathy and intuition, they mostly dismissed as soft.
Yeah.
So do you still think that the emotional intelligence is the new superpower in leadership these days?
Yes, okay. So again, what is the only thing that distinguishes us from AI? It is our humanity. And, at the end of the day, we cannot dismiss our humanity and our ability to connect as humans through emotion. AI cannot give us emotion. They can evoke an emotion in us, right? You could just talk to ChatGPT. I got my ChatGPT on a very affirming mode. So it's always like, Lucy, you're gonna do great. And it's fabulous, right? So it makes me feel good. But it does not in itself have the power to be emotional. So yes, so short answer, yes, emotional intelligence is key.
It is a good superpower.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is ours. Yes, as human beings.
Okay, so Lucy, if I want to know, like, what is that one legacy you want to leave, or that one thing which one change you made for women in business, if you got a chance, what it would be?
Yes, I would like, and I talked about having a platform earlier on, and I guess I would like. And this sometimes happens to me when someone comes up to me and says, many years ago I met you and you said this has happened, like you said to move to the UAE, and here I am. And this was a female founder. Or someone says, you might not remember, but you gave me funding advice years ago. I mean, I guess the legacy is just even like just hearing from people that they've heard something I said, and it's helped somehow advance their dreams and aspirations. And that's enough for me. One thing I am working on, and maybe it will be a legacy, but it's actually a legacy to the UAE, is I'm co-publishing Women of the Future UAE. And at the end of that is the ultimate product is a coffee table book of 100 women from the UAE, all backgrounds, all nationalities, all sectors, and it's shining a spotlight on women advancing whatever it is that they're doing, whatever it could be a cause, it could be their company, could be a movement, and so that I think is really important. So I am physically giving women a platform.
This is wonderful, I guess. I mean, like creating something for someone else.
Yes.
And sharing your skills.
Yes.
And I mean, like paving the way for them, for their success is incredible.
Yes. And actually, I'm just going to do a plug because I want women because the nomination link is open now. So on the website, Women of the Future, all one word, you can see the nomination link. So I want women to nominate themselves, and I want them to nominate other women. And there's like 5 questions, and it's like, what has this person done? Why do you feel they should be nominated? I really would like women to nominate themselves.
This is wonderful.
Yes.
Incredible. And thank you so much for sharing this information on this platform.
Yes.
as well.
No, that's great. Yes, this is. I was just like, okay, I better talk about this. Yes, it's something I need
But
to
thank you so much, Lucy, for coming and sharing your experience and like spreading the awareness about how the founder should be, how they should actually move forward with this journey of startups and all. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for having me, Priyanka.
Thank you.
you.